It's an honor to have the first panel of BlockSplit this year. So please welcome to the stage my co-panelists, Ms. Jadrana Pilaš, a supervisory specialist at the AML Office of Croatian Financial Services Supervisory Agency.
I'm glad to be here with you.
And Mr. Santo, he is a head of compliance at Mercuryo.
Hello.
So,
I must say that he's head of compliance.
Yeah, of money sale. We will touch upon
yes.
Yeah, that is part of the group of Mercuryo. Yeah, of course.
Yes, but it's registered as
as a money sale. Yes, a virtual asset service provider. So let's kick this off. Can you please tell us, so we have a lot of crypto natives here, and a lot of you probably at some point started to thinking about opening a crypto business. And from the regulatory aspect, we call it a crypto asset service provider. So my first question will go to you, Ms. Pilaš. What does crypto business must be aware of if wanting to operate his business and start his business in Croatia?
Well, it must be aware that there is a registration procedure that must go at the request and to prepare all the documents. And
okay, so once it figures out that it has to be registered, it has to be compliant, of course. How does the registration process looks like at this moment, and under which law is it regulated?
It's currently it's regulated just on the AML Act. Mm-hmm. We supervised only that after the registration.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how does, maybe in short, does the registration process looks like? They have to apply, they have to fulfill some of the...
They have to apply and fulfill the request, but just only for the activities that are specified in the
AML Act.
Yes.
So we had a revision of the AML Act, and as of then, a lot of businesses that were previously on the list are not at the list at this moment, because the process got stricter because of the preparation for, of course, the markets and crypto assets regulations. So how strict it is at the moment?
I couldn't say that it's really strict, but it's really demanding, and those firms gave up because they couldn't fulfill the requirements.
Yeah. So it is probably good, because you have to have a very good compliance system set up, because new regulations are coming, and if you're not willing to comply, it is a problem. So it's probably a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So my next question goes to Ms. Santo. So Money Sale is a newly registered crypto asset service provider in Croatia. So Money Sale is part of Mercuryo Group. It's an on and off ramping service provider. Can you tell us, how did you choose Croatia to be your main place of work, and why did you decide to register it in Croatia?
Yeah, sure. So when considering where you want to go for a crypto license, there are many things and many risks to choosing where you eventually go. Ultimately, the first thing that we thought of was the government approach to crypto and innovation in particular. If a government is teetering on, will we, won't we in terms of crypto, it's ordinarily a bad indicator. We need a government that is fully behind crypto and willing to legislate to give us the clarity we need, and that's what we got in Croatia. It's also very important from a business stability perspective to have that assurance. The second thing is the regulatory clarity, and that's absolutely something we got with HANFA as well. So an understanding of the regulatory environment we work in, because we at MoneyCell have always wanted to be regulated. We don't operate in the DeFi space or anything like that. We have a very specific product. And going through the process with HANFA gives you that regulatory clarity from our own experience, more so than quite a lot of other European countries and global other countries in the world. Some of the things that we went through to get that regulatory clarity go way beyond just a simple AML registration. We looked at our business plan, we looked at our financials, capital requirements, consumer protection, data protection, that went beyond just a simple AML registration. It was quite robust, but also fair, transparent, and we got the communication from HANFA as well that we found extremely valuable. And then the final thing I would say, sorry, there are three.
No.
The final thing I would say is from a strategic, geographic, cultural, and economic perspective, you have to look at what market you're going into and ultimately why it makes sense. We at MoneyCell, like Karla said, we're part of a wider group, Mercuryo group, and we have employees in some of the other Baltic countries. You have to look at whether the country that you're looking into align with your values as an organization as well and your principles. If it doesn't make sense. So from a business perspective, it always made sense to come to Croatia. We found the hospitality here was fantastic on our first on our first meeting, and we've never looked back. It's been those are the main three things I would say from my perspective.
Amazing. And maybe did it apply to you the passporting effect, like the fact that you could provide services if you're established in one country in the European, maybe easier in the other countries in the European or not?
Yeah, it makes a difference for sure. I think ultimately we wanted to be in Croatia. Mm-hmm. That's the thing I really want to put out there. Croatia is an important strategic jurisdiction for us. We're not here to set up a company and leave it and go. You know, we want to leverage the incredible tech resource in Croatia, in particular, but also from it would be remiss of me to deny the fact that there are opportunities within the larger EU market, obviously. That's the benefit of being in the EU.
And with the MiCA regulation, of course, coming,
absolutely.
That will harmonize kind of, let's say, the whole market.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean about regulatory clarity as well. When you get regulatory clarity, the whole market benefits from that. And we as crypto firms, VASPs or CASPs, we crave that regulatory clarity because then you get, in my opinion, compliance is a competitive advantage. If you can do compliance consistently, we all win. And that's why ultimately Croatia really worked for us because we've got that regulatory clarity here.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Ms. Pilaš. So considering the number of applications you took, like you reviewed up until this point, what do you think is the readiness of future VASPs in Croatia, and what would be your advice for the new ones that maybe wants to apply to the register?
Well, I think they're aware of the requirements of our law. They're aware that we supervise them after they conduct the registration process. We are going to off-site and on-site supervision, and
that maybe that they have to be in Croatia and reside in Croatia, and
of course they have to do business here. They have have to all things that are prescribed in our law.
And what do you think is the readiness, like from the applications you already received? How well prepared are those ones that are already applied?
There are few of them, just
yeah,
so
there are a few of them. Yes, but they went.
They look prepared.
Yeah, they went through a robust process of registration. So I think also probably you know better that they are well prepared. But that's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Denny, my next question goes to you. So, Money Sale, as you said, is a part of Mercuryo, which is a group entity that is regulated inside and outside of Europe. So, it has virtual asset service provider in Canada as a money service business. You are regulated in the United Kingdom as an electronic money institution and as a PSD agent. You are also in Lithuania, regulated as a virtual asset service provider also. So you have an insight, valuable insight on a lot of different compliance systems and regulatory systems. So can you please, firstly, compare those four systems with the Croatian one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, we've got licenses in 4 jurisdictions now, and they all differ quite widely, actually. The Lithuanian license and the Canadian license we achieved very early on in our journey, and they were established when the regulatory environment around crypto was quite immature. So the registration process was more of an AML registration. It's simply, do you have a business? Do you have a legal entity? Do you have an AML policy? Yes.
So it was very simple.
Very simple. That is changing, obviously, especially in Lithuania, obviously with the incoming MiCA regulation. But in Canada, the situation is fluctuating. Like I said earlier, we crave that clarity. On the other side, we've got an FCA-regulated e-money institution in the UK. That's highly regulated. It obviously falls under the Payment Services Directive. It falls under the e-money directive. So the requirements are very robust.
So you have both. You had both sides. You have both sides, like the easy process one and the very demanding one.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I would say is the process that we went through for an AML registration as a CASP in Croatia sat somewhere on the middle, probably teetering more on the side of the more robust processes that we went through with the FCA for the e-money institution. And actually, I think that's an advantage to us, because when I think about what's coming up with MiCA, there's going to be a wholesale change of the regulatory environment around crypto. And I think a lot of players are going to be shocked by that as well. The amount of work that goes into building the compliance programs needed to be compliant. And I think what we went through with HANFA was a benefit to us, because we actually went through not just an AML registration. Like I said earlier, we were looking at our business plan, our financials, our consumer protection principles, regulatory compliance that doesn't just touch AML. We're looking at token listing policies and things like that. So when MiCA comes around, actually, I think we've got most of the things already sorted.
Already in place.
We'll be in a better place for sure. Yeah.
Maybe it's important to enhance that money institutions are regulated entities, and that's why probably the systems in the UK was very robust. Take into account that crypto regulation is just on its beginning, so maybe it's a good sign that it's robust, but crypto businesses and CASPs can know what to expect. So it's the regulatory clarity that is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we want to be regulated, and we want that regulatory clarity. I think I also think to some degree MiCA isn't the end. MiCA is just the first step towards more clarity, the clarity that we need. I don't think that MiCA addresses all of the problems that crypto faces from a regulatory perspective, but there are things that I think will come in phase 2.
Yeah, and with MiCA, we have to see what are going to be guidelines from the competent institutions. We actually right now don't know what the regulatory environment will look like on the 30th of June when MiCA enters into application for part of the regulation for the stablecoins, and at the end of this year on the 31st of December. But it's a process, and we will probably have also clarity regarding that. Okay, thank you. So we heard experiences from other countries in contrast to Croatia. The thing Danny mentioned is a good support from the regulatory bodies and guidelines. You provided them while they're being registered. So can you please share with us what do you think, in your personal opinion? Where does Croatia stand in the maybe European, from the European point, and maybe globally regarding the welcomeness to WASPs to register its business in Croatia? Where are we positioned?
Where I think somewhere in the middle.
So stuck in the middle with you. Yeah. Okay.
We have the clear framework.
Okay, some of the media is positioning Balkan as
we are welcoming.
As a very welcoming and as a regulatory environment on the rise. Yeah, on the rise. So, Mr. Dani, could you please share with us? You have experience. You have a regulatory experience. You worked at the Financial Ombudsman Service, which is a sister agency in the UK. You have experience in compliance, in data protection, in conduct, in financial crime mitigation for banks and also for startups. And right now, you're in crypto. Can you explain us a bit more on the personal side? How did you end up in crypto, and what have you learned on that path? Because I think it's a very valuable, compliance-wise experience.
Yeah, you know, I started my career as a baby compliance officer at the Financial Ombudsman Service. It was a fantastic experience because you get to learn not just how compliance should be done from an industry perspective or a consulting perspective. You actually look at things through a regulator's lens. So it was fantastic doing that to begin with. And then I moved through, I've been doing this for about 13, 14 years now. And moving through consultancy, then into industry, to traditional finance, and then into crypto, which I actually just fell into. I never imagined I would work in crypto, and actually crypto scared me a little bit, just from a compliance perspective. But I was working for an African fintech in just a couple of years ago, and one part of our organization did some crypto activity. Most of it was payments. But I found that it was so fascinating from a compliance perspective. Just the fact that the story was unwritten from a regulatory perspective sounded like a huge challenge that I wanted to overcome. And to be honest, I've never looked back. I love working in crypto. I think there are so many new things happening, so many new technologies, so many new ways of doing compliance that I think will always keep me on my toes.
Yeah, amazing. And Ms. Pilaš, on opposed to this, what is your personal maybe stance of the crypto community? I think it's very plausible that the regulatory bodies are a part of conferences like this and are directly maybe presenting in front of their future subjects of supervision. So I think it's a good thing. What is your personal stance regarding the crypto community?
I think it's great that we have conference like this, so we can exchange the experiences.
Yeah, amazing. Do you want to share anything else?
Nothing special.
Yeah, that's okay. So, Danny, can you... So, when we talk about crypto, okay, first thing, crypto asset service providers. We have first thing that pops into mind, okay, I somehow have to finance this. But the second thing, okay, if I want to provide business, I probably want to be regulated. And the third thing is, okay, but what is with the community? What is with the people? Because at the end, the people are the ones that put in the hard work. So how did you find the Croatian and Balkan crypto community? And how did you felt when you decided to came here?
That sounds like a leading question.
Look at what you'll say.
Yeah, you're right. A country is its people at the end of the day, but we're not unfamiliar with the Balkans and Croatia and the general regional community. So we have employees in Latvia, for example. We have employees in Bulgaria, Lithuania. We've got a Lithuanian license, as you know. So this region isn't unfamiliar to us anyway. But you know.
But you haven't had anyone from the Balkan area before coming to Balkan, or you had?
Yeah, we have employees. For example, a big part of our e-money institution was located in Latvia as well as the UK. So we have some.
But Latvia is far away.
Yeah. Obviously, there are jurisdictional differences. The one big thing that I would highlight about the Croatian crypto community is the values and the principles that you guys bring that so closely align to our own corporate values. And I think the hospitality and generosity that we've experienced here, because ultimately we need to set up a company here as Money Sale, and our mind and management is required to be in Croatia. So we're going to be spending a long time here. It's really important that when we're choosing which jurisdiction to locate ourselves in, that we get on with the people, obviously, and we're ready to build the resources required to build the organization and scale. So. Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, this was a no-brainer. When we were looking at which jurisdictions to start registering in the EU, Croatia was miles ahead. Partly because we had fantastic lawyers like Karla, but also because as a community, it just made perfect sense.
Can you compare it maybe with the English, with the United Kingdom one, and with their community, and maybe?
Yeah, I think in terms of the UK, the community is obviously a little bit more sporadic, and you get clicks, like you've got the crypto community, you've got the e-money community, you've got, because it is a financial hub over there. I think in Croatia, the benefit you have is Croatia is a relatively smaller company compared to the UK. So there's no comparison in that regard, but everyone comes together. The community is one. You don't get those clicks, so we can all benefit from each other's experiences.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. I think this was a good startup of one Balkan conference. If any of you, we're coming close to the end of this panel. If any of you from the audience has any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah?
It's a question for Ms. Pilaš. Thanks, sorry. It's a question for Ms. Pilaš. Can you maybe tell us when was the first CASP registered in Croatia, and what are the differences between that process and, let's say, the last one that was registered before HANFA? Thanks.
The first one was a year ago, and the last one was you 2 months ago, I think. I don't think there were differences. We supervise whether they recognize and whether they mitigate the AML risk through policies, controls, measures, risk assessment tool, everything that you said.
Anyone else? Yeah, over there.
Hi, so just like a general question, like a temperature check really. Obviously, when you want to open a company that works in crypto, you got to have some form of treasury, right? Whether it be in a stable coin, whether it be in your own coin, right? What's the outlook in Croatia regarding managing those treasuries, and how are they going to be regulated from a tax perspective? Because obviously, unless you're in stable coins, you are subject to market fluctuations, right? So how do we plan on, handling that situation while allowing companies to actually, how do you say, operate on a normal level, right? Because not all crypto is necessarily, the fluctuations in crypto can't necessarily be tied to, profits or losses at the end of the year, necessarily, right?
If I correctly understood, that is something that would be with MiCA.
Excuse me?
Consumer protection, also protection of assets of consumers.
Yeah, but also, protecting companies from being liable for, way too many or way too little taxes at the end of each fiscal year, right? Because you do have to keep something in a treasury in order to operate on a blockchain.
Yes, but today currently we are not looking at that.
Yeah, at the
Just
moment.
the AML Act.
At the moment, the only regulatory scope we have is the AML regulatory regime, as we mentioned. So MiCA regulation is coming, the travel rule regulation, transfer funds regulation is coming, DORA is coming, and a lot of other regulations and frameworks are coming. It is a question regarding the stable coins and e-money tokens, funds, PSD, and there's a lot of questions. Definitely. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening us. Please give a big round of applause for Ms. Jadrana and Danny. Thanks.